DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts. It's the week of Wednesday, April the 24th, and you're listening to episode 66 of DuckTalks. Hey there, and welcome to DuckTalks. Thanks for listening. We are glad to have you. And hey, you may be a new listener, so if this is your first time listening, thanks for checking us out. If this is not your first time listening, thanks for coming back. Man, we're glad to be here. We've got plenty of topics to talk about. We're going to get started. My name's Mitch. I'm one of your hosts. Joining me tonight, I've got a couple of buddies, per usual.
Ahoy there, Pirate Steven here.
Hey guys, it's CC Runner, or Josh. I'm here tonight.
I never know whether to introduce you guys or to allow you to introduce yourselves.
I don't know.
I haven't, 66 episodes, and I haven't found the right way to do it yet. And every time I listen back to it, I cringe a little. I don't know. One of these days, something will be comfortable, and that's what we'll go with. I thought we'd take a moment before we get started looking at all this news and more news and spoilers and all this stuff, and just kind of catch up for a moment. I know people listening to the podcast over on Twitter that listen to the podcast and talk with us on Twitter and the website and places. Sometimes ask a little bit about us, so I thought we would talk a little bit. We took a little bit of a break during the most recent hiatus. Let's kind of catch up with each other. Pirate, what's been going on with you?
I'm almost in the end game now. I mean, it's coming up this week. I've been kind of like twitching the whole week and trying to get through it till I get into that movie theater, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Any movie marathons trying to get ready for it?
I watched Infinity War with the family tonight, so I'm going to go back to back there and see the next one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
We've been watching all the Marvel movies ourselves, as we have with the newborn. We have a lot of time where the baby's just kind of crying, so we're like, let's put something on TV. And we've been going through all the Marvel movies, and we're almost all the way up to the last Avengers movie, and so we're pretty hyped up about it. But I'm not sure exactly when we're going to be able to go and see it. But we're definitely ready for it.
That's us. I'm kind of hurting on the ability to go see it. I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, and I think I'm to the point that I'll have to see Endgame before Captain Marvel. May have to catch Captain Marvel when it hits that home release, but man, Endgame's going to be a game changer, for sure.
Well, I think I've heard that you don't really necessarily have to see the Captain Marvel before Endgame. It's just kind of like her origin story.
Yeah.
So I don't think it relates as much as you would think. But I actually haven't been able to see the other one either. So I'm into that same boat.
Yeah, well, with Infinity War, I was disappointed because I didn't get to see Black Panther beforehand. And although I knew who the characters were and knew the setting because I grew up reading Marvel comics, I still kind of missed out on that introduction. And so when I went back and watched Black Panther for the first time when it came out on Blu-ray, I was blown away by it and kind of disappointed. I was like, I'm not doing that again. And here I am. Josh, you mentioned you've had a lot of time lately. How's things going with you all?
Yeah, we're really good. Our newborn is now a month and a half, and I can't believe it's gone that fast. And she's growing, and she's getting more alert and doing more every day. It's so crazy watching them grow. This is my first, and so I know you guys have kind of gone through it, Steve, more recently, and it's gone through the newborn phase, and so for us, this is our first time, so everything's new, and we're just like trying to do the best we can, because new parents, you kind of have to learn on the job,
Yeah, all you can do is all you can do, and all you can do is enough. I stole that from somebody, by the way. But yeah, that's how it is. You're just learning as you go. That's awesome. Now, you got some mail like a week ago.
You talking about the figures that I just got?
Well, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay.
but the little package that Pirate and I mailed.
Oh, yes. That was a few weeks ago. You guys had sent me as a surprise, and I didn't know it until I got it, a onesie for her that was it's got our logo on it, and so I'm glad that you got a little bit of a bigger size because she's already starting to get into the 3 months clothes, and I'm already like, she wears them a few times and then she doesn't fit in them anymore. But I'm glad you got the little bit bigger size so she can pretty soon she'll be able to wear it, and I'll definitely get some pictures of her in the onesie because we were both really excited about it, and so it's gonna be funny. You guys had especially changed some of the colors of the logo just so it would match the color of the onesie, so it looked really awesome. And if anybody of our listeners wants to get them, I think you can buy the onesies with that logo from our online shop, right?
Yeah, that's at TeePublic. We created the TeePublic store mainly because we wanted to be able to buy our own merch. And case in point, we wanted to be able to do stuff like this. And Pirate and I don't want to take all the credit because Brian Danger, the artist over on Twitter, who did our fabulous artwork for season 2 of DuckTalks, with the new logo and the character designs and everything, went in and did the recolor. We let him know, that what we were trying to fit it on that colored onesie, and he's like, I know exactly what to do. So he got that turned around for us, and he was just excited to be a part of it. So it was really cool. And yeah, they can go to the TeePublic store and buy it. It's a pink version of the logo so that it'll look better on the pink shirts, and it looks good on a couple of different colors. I think Lexi's wanting the teal shirt with the pink logo, and it look good too. Mm. I've got to put in an order for some new shirts before I go to some conventions coming up.
Yeah, I feel like it's convention season.
Oh, it definitely feels that way. We've had a lot of great news with DuckTalks recently about conventions. I thought we'd take a moment and talk about that too. I was supposed to talk about me. I moved, and so life is, boxes. But that's okay because we got conventions coming up. We've already talked about MegaCon a few times on the podcast, and we had an update last week. I don't think there's been any new announcement. There's been a ton of announcements because we have notifications turned on for that convention. And I tell you, I think I get a message that they've tweeted every few minutes. They are on the game, that social media. Whoever's running their social media is doing it right. But
yeah, we're about 2 weeks out from MegaCon. It's in Orlando. We'll have a presence there because I will be there. This is Pirate. I will be there almost every day, and hope to see any of our listeners that might be there. It'd be fun to meet up.
Yeah, there's a number of people involved with Disney Duck projects in the Disney Afternoon who will be there. It's exciting. Pirate's got a great blog kind of covering it, and he'll be updating that. Hey, before MegaCon, though, we have FanFest coming up. That's this weekend. I hope to get this episode of the podcast out before Saturday. And there was some news that's not in our notes on FanFest. I think Frank Angonis has announced who will be there associated with DuckTales. Now, DuckTales is sharing the stage with Big City Greens, and I know some of you all who are really into Disney animation is going to be mad at me, but I can't think of the other show that's going to be there. Trying to bring up Frank's Twitter to see what the announcement was, but they will have a presence. I know Bobby Moynihan is one of the people that is going to be there.
Yeah, I think Danny is going to be there as well.
Danny Pudi?
Yes.
Here it is. So Disney PR said Bobby Moynihan, Danny Pudi joined producers, the Iron Wrist, who is Matt Youngberg. Not Youngberger, and Frank Angones, along with writer Lady Fantastic. Now, Lady Fantastic is, I can't remember who it's Colleen. Lady Fantastic is, and I always say that wrong, it's Colleen.
Colleen Evanson.
Yep, Colleen Evanson. And they will be at the Animation Celebration panel on April the 27th. And I think it's like 3 p.m. their time. Now, the really big news about this is that the Disney Now app will be streaming this. They'll have it. It will be playing. I guess it's an app, so it's streaming. And it'll also be on the YouTube channel. So it's really cool. Should be able to check it out. I'm looking right now. Yeah, 3 p.m. Big City Greens. Oh, it's Amphibia. It's the new show. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Sam Riegel, I believe, is going to do some of the moderating for that, and he is heavily involved in the voice casting for DuckTales, and he was also the voice of the Bigfoot in one of the episodes of DuckTales. And I believe Slash, one of the Glomgold's boys.
And he was a lot of fun. He's done a lot of work before DuckTales, but he was a lot of fun at last year's Fan Fest when they read one of the scripts, and that was a lot of fun because a lot of not everyone was there, and so some people read multiple parts, and it was fun. Anyway,
yeah, and that's available on YouTube from last year if you want to watch Fan Fest. And it's a script read of the DuckTales cast, and it's funny. I listen in the car sometimes.
Yeah, it was McMystery at McDuck McManor, the title that I will always comment on that I hate. But it was a great episode, and it had the guitar, and of course the guitar made an appearance at the panel. Hey, July 12th through the 14th in Knoxville, Tennessee, go Vols, Fanboy Expo. I've been kind of paying attention to Fanboy Expo. It's kind of in my backyard, and I knew there was some talk about them having some Disney animation people coming, and they started announcing Jodie Benson, Ariel, and then different people associated with The Little Mermaid and some other projects, but I wasn't hearing anything from the Disney Afternoon. And then they put out this image that included current DuckTales characters and Darkwing Duck and Hanna-Barbera characters and just a bunch of other characters. So I was following it, wondering if we were going to get some Disney Afternoon people. And then this week they announced that Mike and Patty Perazza will be at Fanboy Expo July 12th through the 14th, and that they're going to have panels where they're going to be talking about their careers and talking about animation, different parts of it. Now, these two are, for the 90s, they were involved in just about every Disney animation project that I can find. So great to have an opportunity to meet them. I spoke with Mike via Twitter. No, it's Facebook, via Facebook this week, and he said, they will also be out on the floor, and they'll have prints and possibly do some commissions. So they'll have some work for sale where people can do that and get signatures and all that good stuff. But Mike recently did, he worked on Mickey's Christmas Carol, and he did the cards at the end in the credits. And then for the DuckTales episode last Christmas, when you get to the end of that episode and they do the credits, they have those very, Christmas Carol reminiscent type cards. They were done by Mike. So it's really cool. I'm really excited about getting a chance to meet him. And we reached out to Fanboy, and so they're giving us media access, much like MegaCon did. And so we'll be talking about that convention as well as we get closer to time. And as people are announced, I'm really hoping we get some more names associated with the Disney Afternoon. And I think Josh is flying over from California.
I wish I had
I was
media
really
access.
close to making it to MegaCon. Really close. Another convention that's on our calendar is DragonCon in Atlanta. DragonCon's one of the larger conventions in the area, and August 29th through September 2nd of this year, so a little later in the year. A little later than it is now anyway. But I've gone to DragonCon. This will be the third time, and I'm really excited about it. Right now, it doesn't look like the Darkwing group will be there. It doesn't look like Tony Ensemble will be back, but I'm going to meet Zachary Levi. I'm a huge Chuck fan. But Don Rosa will be there. He's confirmed to be there, and I'm very excited to have an opportunity to get some signatures and to have get to talk with him. Who knows? Maybe we can convince him to come on the podcast sometime. We've got possibly some other things that we're looking at and going to try to get in on. But hey, let us know either on Twitter or by email. Let us know if there's a convention that you'd like to see us at or that you think we'd be interested in. We're constantly looking for this. We like to let other people know that it's going on. Maybe someone who's listening doesn't know there's a convention in their area where Jim Cummings is going to be there, and they'd be extremely disappointed to find out after the fact. So let us know, and that way we can report on it. There's so many conventions, it's hard to keep up with all of them.
Well, another one that is going to be in California is in the D23 Expo that's coming up. And 2 years ago when they had the last one, they had Jim Cummings was at that one as well. So it's possible that we might see some people go to that convention as well. So we haven't really got much word on who or what's going to be happening at that convention, but that's often a big convention that brings in a lot of the big Disney names.
Yeah, we'll be following that one, and we definitely are interested in trying to have some kind of presence. I know Josh has gone a few times, and Pirates crossed the country for that one as well. Yeah,
that one's in August 23rd through 25th, so... Well, I don't know if I'll be able to go this year, but we're hoping to get somebody out there this year for it.
And that's why there's less of a Disney presence at Dragon Con this year, because it's the week before Dragon Con. All right, well, that's our con life. That's what's on our calendar. Let us know what's on yours, and let us know if you're coming to these. We'll also add. We've got a few others that we're hoping to add, so we'll talk about that later on another episode. Spoiler alert. You guys ready for this? We had someone reach out to us at DuckTalks.com. That's our website, if I haven't mentioned it yet tonight, today, this morning, whenever it is that you're listening to this at this moment. If I haven't mentioned it before now, I've mentioned it now. Someone reached out, let us know that the episode... My tablet is not loading. The episode title is Friendship Hates Magic. Now, that was the episode we thought was coming next. We thought we were going to be watching this, and we know it's about Lena and Webby and Violet. Actually, we'll get into that in a little bit later. But we were expecting that to be the next episode. We've now found out it's not the next episode. It's been pushed back a little bit, but it will air in, I think it was the Netherlands. My notes are not loading. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, I had it up in my phone. I think you're right. It was in the Netherlands. Hold on to me.
Yeah, so this was TP Videos over on our website. Let us know that it's showing up for April the 28th at 10:45, that time zone. But it will. I was trying to look. Yeah, it's Netherlands.
It is Netherlands, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not scheduled to air here until May 15th. So this episode, I don't know about, whether people can watch it online. I know that we had an issue with some episodes previously in season 1 where they were available in other time zones and people were able to get a hold of them. But I would expect to see some spoilers out there if people get a hold of it. And this is an episode people have been waiting for. So, do what you can to stay spoiler-free if you want to wait until May 15th, because Frank has said that the schedule change was at their request, and it makes the second season flow better. We may end up reporting on that some more if anything else comes out about that. But yeah, there's a screenshot on our website where it shows in the Disney Now app that it's going to be airing in the Netherlands. Or I guess it might not be the Disney Now app, whatever it was on. It looked like the Disney Now app. But we do have a lot of good news when it comes to DuckTales episodes, because like clockwork, or close to it, it's a couple days off. May 20th was over the weekend. So on May 22nd, the Disney highlights... I said May, didn't I? April. I meant April. April 22nd, the Disney highlights for May came out, and we were finally, all those rumors that we'd been hearing, now we know they're true. Actually, mostly true, because it seems there's some changes. We went over some of these rumors in our last episode, but now we know that Tuesday, May the 7th, will be the premiere date for Treasure of the Found Lamp. And man, there's some good stuff in here that we were not expecting. We had previously had the air date, we'd had the description, but what we did not know was that Ma Beagle, Selene, that's right, the goddess Selene, and Gladstone Gander will appear in these episodes, or this episode. That kind of changes my thoughts of how this episode may go.
Yeah, I did not expect Gladstone. I mean, I was hoping that we would receive more of him this season, but it just wasn't one that I was thinking of him being in. Like, I was thinking, because there's one that's like a few episodes later that might seem like he may make an appearance, but I didn't expect that. So I'm actually really anxious to see where they're going to go with bringing him back into the show. This
is probably where we'll see that Gladiator blimp that was previewed at San Diego Comic-Con last year.
That's true.
It's one of the images that Frank showed off at the like the Goodyear blimp, but it was for Gladstone. So I'd expect to see that one in this episode.
Have we had any beagles in this season? I don't think we have. And of course, looking at this, I don't see that we're going to get any Beagles other than Ma Beagle. Margot Martindale will be reprising her role as Ma Beagle. And of course, Nia Vardalos will be reprising her role as Selene, and Paul F. Tompkins as Gladstone Gander. So the description: as the boys track a missing artifact across Duckburg, Scrooge and Webby stall the warrior looking for it with a phony quest. Scrooge and Webby is comic gold. I can't wait for that. And then you've got Gladstone in there. Oh, this is a great episode. I can't wait for May 7th. So what was on the highlights then goes to Thursday, May the 9th, skipping Wednesday, May the 8th, and I think that's important. The 87-cent solution, we were starting to... I had originally said that I thought this would be that time travel episode. Then after reading the description, the kids must stop Scrooge's unhealthy obsession with a few missing coins to keep him from becoming the next Glomgold. And I was kind of backing away from that. But then when you read who is in the episode, Lin-Manuel Miranda will reprise his role as Gizmo Duck, and Jim Rash will reprise his role as Gyro Gearloose. It could still be that time travel episode because those images that we saw included both Gyro and Gizmo Duck. So maybe the 87-cent solution, maybe we get a little time travel. I'm thinking, what if Scrooge loses these coins and they're gone? Like, they're gone. And he's like, well, there's no other alternative. Gyro, I need a time machine so I can go back and get them again.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, and this could be a Goldie episode as well.
Need some more Goldie. And we know from San Diego images that were released that, we know that they've designed a look for her, maybe a younger look. So that's Thursday, May 9th. Friday the 10th is the Golden Spear. Now, this is one of the episodes we did not know about in the rumors. As Della rebuilds her ship, Penumbra becomes convinced Della's planning an attack. Meanwhile, Donald's nap keeps getting interrupted by Adventure. And I think it's great that we're going to get more Della, but not only that, we're also going to be seeing what's going on Earth with her twin. So we've got Donald dealing with what seems like a classic Donald cartoon script, right? Donald trying to take a nap and he keeps getting interrupted. Do you think they're going to slide in Chip and Dale? I know it's not going to happen, but still.
But you know what? I was thinking of that bee that used to aggravate Donald.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll make an appearance.
We've got Paget Brewster, Julie Bowen, and Lance Reddick reprising their roles as Della Duck, Lieutenant Penumbra, and General Linares. So
yeah, I love Julie Bowen. I think she was great in that role from what we saw from that Della episode, and I can't wait to see more of Penumbra. I know Sam King really loves the character, and you know what? Sam is great. So if she's looking forward to it, so am I.
Now that's on Friday, May the 10th, and all these episodes are premiering at 3 p.m. Of course, most of us are watching them on the app, and they may be available that morning. Who knows? But that's Friday. On Monday, May the 13th, nothing can stop Della Duck. Della Duck has faced every danger the moon has to offer to reunite with her family, but her greatest challenge is one she might not be able to fight her way out of. So we're getting another Della-centric episode, so kind of bookend there, Friday and Monday.
So this is, as you said, 3 p.m. So are you going to find like a closet or a bathroom to go hide in?
You know, I've been known to do that.
Watch and blog about this, or how's that going to work?
So 3 p.m. is kind of late to hold off on lunch. I don't know. Maybe I take my lunch every day in May, and then I can just take my lunch break. Who knows?
Somebody may knock on the bathroom. I hear DuckTales in there, Mitch. Are you watching DuckTales in the bathroom again?
Woo! So then this skips from Monday, no, it doesn't. I'm out of order. No, sir, you're out of order. Tuesday, May 14th, is Raiders of the Doomsday Vault, another one we didn't know about. Well, we did, because this was in one of the previews, but we didn't know about the episode title or the description, which I'm about to read. Dewey tries to prove himself by exploring a frozen fortress in search of a money tree seed. But Glomgold has kidnapped Scrooge in order to find it first. The king is back.
Sounds like something that Glomgold would do.
Yeah, and we've seen some scenes from this in that promo that came out. We're going to put a blog out on this eventually with all this information. Now that the episode descriptions are out, I think we can talk about it a little bit more. But should be a great episode. Dewey and Glomgold centric with Scrooge in peril. I imagine Scrooge isn't actually in peril, and he's probably just going along with it. He was bored. So
sounds about right.
Then Wednesday, May the 15th, is Friendship Hates Magic. We've talked probably the most about this episode, but one fact to point out is that this is the introduction of Webby's new friend, Violet. Or at least we're guessing this is the introduction. It's the first time she's mentioned in a description. But there's something about stuck as a shadow, Lena tries to protect Webby from her suspicious new friend, Violet, during a supernatural sleepover. And of course, Kimiko Glenn reprises her role as Lena. And then we have, I think it's Lib Bearer as Violet. This is the character everybody keeps trying to guess what type of bird she is.
Didn't we find out somewhere what kind of bird she was?
You know, I think Frank has answered that question over on Tumblr. I think that's right. I think it's a plot point. I think he said it has something to do with something about the episode. But everybody's looking forward to that one. Man, we've not seen the continuation of this story since the end of season 1. And then on Thursday, May the 16th, The Dangerous Chemistry of Gandra D. With Huey... this is kind of weird. With Huey's and Webby's help, Fenton woos a punk rock scientist, Gandra D, only to uncover her dangerous plans for Gizmo Duck. Now, Gandra D is going to be played by Jamila Jamil. She's from The Good Place. She's playing Gandra D. And then, of course, Lin-Manuel Miranda will reprise his role as Gizmo Duck, and Salinas Leiva is Officer Cabrera.
Oh, so we're gonna see Mama again.
Well, you got to have Mama in the episode with Gandra D.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty excited about seeing Gandra D because that was kind of his big love interest in the original. So I'm curious to find out. It seems like he's going to be like wooed by Gandra D, but it seems like Gandra is going to have her own plans that are going to make this interesting.
Yeah, and I wrote, when this information came out, I wrote a quick blog. Pirate referenced it earlier while at work in a closet and on a break. But I'd used some words kind of hinting to the fact that maybe Gandra's evil. And someone over on Twitter pointed out the fact that just because she has plans for him doesn't mean that she has like nefarious plans for him, which is completely accurate. I mean, she could just need him to do something, and so she's trying to get to Gizmo Duck. So we'll see. The whole
we've been lacking some Gizmo Duck this season, so it'd be nice to have him back in the show.
Doesn't Frank said something on Tumblr about how the punk rock's not like music punk rock, but like she doesn't follow the rules, kind of a thing, and she kind of does her own thing, type of scientist, right?
Yeah, that's what he said. I still think there's going to be
paraphrasing.
Some punk rock type stuff thrown in there. I mean, it's very specific. I mean, when I read the description, I don't really think of it the way that he put it, but he did clarify that it just means she bends the rules. Now, we were extremely excited, and then Josh was the first one to comment on the fact of, oh, whoa, how are we going to cover 7 episodes in 10 days? And then it hit me. Oh, yes, we've got to find a way to cover 7 episodes in 10 days. However, Frank commented on, I think it was Holy Mango's Twitter. Yeah, Holy Mango's had posted 7 episodes within 9 days. We've been blessed. DuckTales Mutuals, we've been blessed. And Frank's response was, oh, it's going to be more than 7. This is missing some doozies. So even this list that's been put out, and I've wondered this in the past because there's some accounts out there that get a hold of the highlights early and they post them early, and I've wondered if they would change, and they haven't. That's why we've always been cautious to say they're rumors until Disney officially puts them out. But now we see that Disney has officially put it out, but there's still additions to it. Went over to Disney website, the Disney Channel's website, and looked at the episodes and noticed the numbering of the episodes and when they air and everything. And I thought it was interesting that episode 210 is not here. So it's not on their calendar and it's not listed, but there are some open dates. You know, we didn't have an episode on a Monday and we didn't have an episode on a Friday. So if episode 10 actually airs on that Monday, it would mean that there's something about it they're just not releasing yet. And then that would leave episode 16 to air on that Friday. This is the second week of the show airing. So I'm wondering, and we know episode 16 is the Launchpad-centric episode. Frank said that several months ago on Tumblr. So I think we'll see that episode on Friday, unless there's something big going to air on that Friday to take up that time slot. Because that means we're going to get 10 episodes covering those 2 weeks. We would have an episode every day at 3 o'clock. Right?
I think we're going to have to find a way to pace ourselves through them.
Well, and that's the thing. I was talking with someone at work about it, and they were like, well, just take your time. And people have been saying this on Twitter. Just take your time and go through them one by one. But DuckTales episodes aren't going to end after this week, after this 2-week period. That's only 10 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
There's still more episodes to air. We'll figure it out. But we've got a lot. We've got a lot coming in May. Not a good time to take vacations.
Yeah.
What do you guys think this episode 2? I'm calling it 210 because it's season 2. What do you think episode 210 could be that they would not release it with the rest of this? I mean, just like... See, I'm really thinking that'll be 16.
Yeah, could be.
Because it's Launchpad centric. If we get more Launchpad, I think we get more Darkwing. Of course, maybe we get 2 Launchpad episodes.
That's the hope. Yeah, we need, and we haven't had a really good Glom Gold episode lately, so
yeah, it'd be a while before we would get one too.
Right, and they still gotta flesh out that story about this contest, because you can't just mention in the Duke Baloney episode and then And then in the finale episode, they're fighting about it. So they need to build up that some more.
Yeah, I think the money tree seed thing will have some to do with it, with Glomgold taking Scrooge hostage. But I mean, I would think we need 2, 3, 4 episodes to include it in order to really set that storyline. And I have the utmost faith in the writing team. I know they know what they're doing. I'm just, sitting back here trying to figure out what the next play is going to be.
Oh yeah, don't even try to guess. It's so up in you can't even guess at this point. The way they're airing these episodes, and you can't predict it anymore.
It is strange, but they like doing this in May. We've been saying that for a while. They
maybe they're giving us 10 episodes because the comic book isn't going to release for a couple of months.
Yeah. Oh, we've not even talked about that. In the previews, no IDW DuckTales in July. Don't know what's going on. Hoping it's just maybe there's a backup on the art, but they're not talking. We keep asking.
Yeah, so DuckTales got to 20th issue, and we know there's more stories out there. We've talked to people. There's more stories. So who knows when I'm going to pick it up? I don't know. I know that when the shows like this have hiatuses for the show, it does a little damage. So, and you hate to see it happen for the comic book as well, because the comic book had a pretty good momentum there with some solid issues. So hopefully it comes back in August.
And the sales are pretty good on the comic. We've looked those up. So, I'm surprised. There has to be a reason for the break, and hopefully we find out. Who knows? But it's been a great book, and I hope to see it continue. We do have a few items in Duck merch before we get to Beyond DuckTales. Pirate, you did a blog. Was this today? I know this information just came out.
I did do a blog today. So the Kingdom consoles and the iHeart Gaming pins are just greatest pins I've ever seen. And we're not pin people. And for sure. And this current month, for April release, there was a Rescue Rangers Kingdom console pin, and it's really cool because it's the Disney Afternoon Collection classic Rescue Rangers NES game. So you get the screen and you get a pin-on-pin, which is the console that with the cartridge lifts up, and there's a controller dangle with a magnet that you can stick on the pin. It is so cool. We're hoping that the whole Disney Afternoon Collection with the Tailspin and DuckTales a given. I don't know when that's coming out, but Darkwing Duck. Oh, for sure. That will be the most popular series. They've done other ones like Little Mermaid and
Aladdin?
Lion King and Aladdin, which are all classic either NES or Super Nintendo games. So, yeah, for sure. And there was also Capcom had a really good Magic Kingdom game back in the day, Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. So I would love to see that one as well. But May pin calendar was released today, and it shows Darkwing Duck Kingdom console pin is going to be released on May 9th, which is really cool. And that's going to be at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. It's a limited edition of 4,000, so each coast will get 2,000 of them go through. And then there is the iHeart Gaming, which is like the classic LED handheld console games they had in the 80s and 90s. And that theme is also going to be a Darkwing Duck pin. So has a lenticular, I believe, of Quacker Jack and Darkwing Duck fighting. So really cool. That is a Disneyland exclusive that's going to be available starting on May 30th, and that's only 2,500 of those pins.
So I had a question about this. What's a lenticular?
Well, you move it to side, and the image moves.
Oh,
or
okay.
If you look at it at a different angle, it looks like the image is moving.
So it's like the stuff we used to get in Cracker Jack boxes.
Sure, yeah.
But it's on
Oh
a
yeah,
pin, so that's cool.
yeah, really cool. I got they had a Goofy movie one last year of them doing the eye to eye dance. So if you like move the pin around or you look at different angles, they would do their little dance.
Now, isn't there a Goofy movie or Goof Troop pin in May too?
There is for Father's Day. They're gonna do that release on May 30th, along with the Darkwing Duck pin, and it's the eye to eye Goofy.
Isn't Father's Day in
Max.
June?
It is in June, but you gotta release the pin a little bit ahead of time so people have time to buy it.
Oh, okay. It's like, wait a minute.
And then Cinco de Mayo has a Donald pin. So if you love pins and you love all the stuff that we talk about on the show, it's definitely a good month for pins. I definitely need the Kingdom Consoles and iHeart Gaming Darkwing pins to continue that collection as started this month. But if you're unable to be at the parks, I know the Rescue Rangers one at least on eBay. The pin's kind of expensive. It's $17.99, which is a god awful amount to spend on a pin, but it has so many different details and accents to it, so I could justify the price for it. But eBay had it. eBay usually skyrockets prices, but it was only they had them for a couple of dollars more with free shipping, so overall not too bad.
I didn't even realize there was a Donald pin till you said that, and I'm looking. It's like a Small World, but it's with Donald. He's a Small World version of Donald for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
And there's a Chip pin too for the Wilderness Lodge. No fedora, but it's Chip.
Yeah, so the Small World at Disneyland has different Disney characters integrated into it. So that's the Mexico scene.
Oh, I see.
We have in Mexico scene. He actually doesn't look. He looks more like Donald in the actual ride than that one does. This one looks like they've stylized it more towards like the dolls in it. But like we have three caballeros at the end, but they look more like the actual characters than this. So it's kind of, I don't know. I think they stylized it a little bit more different.
Are they Are they similar to the Grand Fiesta Tour animatronics or?
Yeah, they're stationary, and so they did this.
Oh, okay.
But there's like a thing in the back of it that kind of makes them move up and down.
I see. Okay. Never been to Disneyland. One of these days, maybe when I go to D23. You had another blog that we're going to talk about for Duck Merch, and that was their Carl Barks Disney Library Volume 10 has released. It's got an amazing title, Terror of the Beagle Boys.
Well, that one actually released a couple years ago, but that's just so happens to be where I am on on my Carl Barks library journey.
Well, that is not part of Duck Merch then.
That is not. But in May, there's 2 releases by Fantagraphics.
There we go.
There's going to be Carl Barks Volume 20, which is what they're currently on, and it's the King Solomon Treasure, and then Disney Masters Volume 8, which Disney Masters does a Mickey and Goofy themed one, and then they'll do a Donald one, and they'll rotate each of the different volumes. But this one happens to be Donald, and it's the Duck Avenger Strikes Again, which is everybody's all hyped about the Duck Avenger. So if you want to see Donald in his first appearance as Duck Avenger, this is where you have to go get it. And it's never been in English before. It's translated newly into English, so this is great. Fantagraphics is very great for putting this out there.
Well, I knew there were some releases, and I've heard nothing but good things for the Masters collection. A lot of people online, I know Dan Cunningham has talked about how good those are, so I'm looking forward to getting a chance to read them, but I'm not there yet. We're continuing our Beyond DuckTales series where we're reading through we started with the Don Rosa collection, or the Don Rosa library, and now we're reading the Carl Barks library. We're on Volume 7, or at least I am. Pirate's gotten ahead, being on volume 10. But volume 7 is Lost in the Andes. And we were going to talk about it just very quickly to end this episode, because we want to include Beyond DuckTales. We want to get back on track. We've got to start on volume 8. But, so yeah, this came out. Pirate, you want to go ahead? You're the expert on these, having done these reviews. This came out, was this 2011? This was the first one that they put out. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's kind of a different strategy that Fantagraphics had. So the Carl Barks library, when it's done, is going to be about 30 volumes. And instead of releasing volume 1, they started with volume 7 because they wanted to get some really great Carl Barks content out there. Kind of like when he started to really kick butt on the series. And they started with volume 7, and eventually they went back and did volume 5 and 6. But volume 5 is the first volume you can find for this Fantagraphics series. But volume 7 has the famous Lost in the Andes story where Donald and the boys first go to Plain Awful, and they see the chickens and the square eggs, which all the Don Rosa fans will know that there's a story in volume 2 of the Don Rosa library, Return to Plain Awful. So this is like the first time they go there, and it was a really fun adventure.
Yeah, and there's an Easter egg in Last Christmas where there's a character that comes up with a square egg or rock and tries to talk Scrooge into a business deal, and Scrooge kind of pushes him out of the way and complains that everybody's after his money. But that was a callback to these stories, and it was a lot of fun because we started with the Don Rosa library, and Don Rosa's a huge fanboy of Carl Barks, and so all of his work, he basically sat down and laid out his favorite stories, and he laid out all these little remarks about various things, and he wrote the stories that he wanted to write that were continuations of those stories. And I think he did have some that were mandated by his publisher, but you can tell he really enjoyed writing this story. But Carl Barks' original story is great, and I loved getting an opportunity to read this story. Having already read the sequel to it, it was kind of interesting because it wasn't new to me. You were kind of reading it going, oh, I already know this stuff. But it's a really fun story. It's definitely one of the best of his, and I see why people are so fond of it. I came across one of the Gladstones. I don't know how many times these comics have been reprinted in the U.S., but I came across one of the Gladstone reprints of this issue at a local used bookstore, and I didn't pick it up because I knew it was a reprint, and I wasn't sure that I wanted it. And now that I've read it, I do. So I've got to go back and see if they've still got it.
There's also another callback to the story. I don't know if it was to this one or maybe it's to both. But in the third episode in season 1, The Great Dime Chase, when they go into the library, one of the books that Webby's pulling out, she's reading a few titles, and one of them is called A Map of Plain Awful. And so it's another callback that the show kind of brings to, I guess, this and Don Rosa's stories.
Yeah, and then in the finale episode, Magica is like trying to when Scrooge looks all defeated and she's trying to hype him up, she says, "You've been to Plain Awful." Well, that's the Don Rosa version, because in the Carl Barks Lost in the Andes, it's just Donald and the boys. They don't bring Scrooge until the Don Rosa Return to Plain Awful. So it's just really cool. And this is another reason why we keep telling people, read the comics, read the source, because it just makes the show DuckTales that more enjoyable if you really get all the behind the scenes stuff and all the Easter eggs they throw in there.
Yeah, the next story, The Golden Tree, was one that you really enjoyed, but I didn't really connect with all that much. You liked the Halloween callbacks that were in it. Was this written before or after the Halloween story? Do we know? The Halloween story, was that in an early? That's in what volume does that
Volume
fall in?
13. Volume 13 has
So this would have been before it.
Yeah, so this is before it. I love Halloween stories, and Carl Barks's Duck Christmas stories are great. And it's kind of a mesh of that, where a witch comes to Duckburg and tries to cause chaos. So really, really fun story.
Now, I loved Race to the South Sea with Gladstone. You've got Donald and Gladstone and the boys racing to save Scrooge, who's crashed. And the twist at the end of the story is a hoot. It's a great issue. I really enjoyed seeing, man, that rivalry between Donald and Gladstone gets intense.
Yeah, you get a lot. Carl Barks had a lot of Gladstone versus Donald stories, and the cool part is they're not like a rehash of each other. They're all really fresh and funny stories.
So being a fan of Life and Times, Voodoo Hoodoo is one of those stories that you instantly connect with, because Bombi the Zombie is a character that shows up in the Life and Times, and you find out where he comes from. And then and I think you put this in your blog, and then when you get to this story, which came first, the Carl Barks story that the character in Don Rosa's stories is based on, this really feels like an add-on to that story, when it's actually the other way around. Rosa took this little story and made something big out of it, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and speaking of Christmas stories, there's another story where Santa invites Donald and the boys to come to the North Pole and test out toys, which was a lot of fun as well. Like I said, Carl Barks is great at the Christmas story.
Yeah, and I wonder, because I know Rosa talked about this some in his volumes, but I wonder how much of this was mandated, or how much of it was actually, he really enjoyed telling Christmas stories, if there was, something about Christmas that he really enjoyed. Because there does seem to be a lot of Christmas stories, at least in this volume. The Crazy Quiz Show, I thought, was a lot of fun. I really liked seeing Donald's bad luck on display as he's trying to win that money. It's one thing when you're reading these stories, you really get a feel that Donald was the everyman in this era, and the everyman was the blue collar worker at the time, who would do his work as many jobs as he could to be able to put food on the table. But you never know when things were going to be lean, and so you kind of get that feel in these stories. And with this one, Donald's got this scheme that he's going to be on this show and he's going to win, and it just doesn't work out for him because they're kind of got the deck stacked against him. Truant Officer Donald was one of my favorites, though, with the boys playing hooky. And Pike.
Yeah, I just read a story because in volume 10 they play hooky as well. Uh-huh. And it's funny because everywhere they try to play hooky, like they land in a school somewhere, or by a school. So it's kind of like the school's following them around.
So we're not going to go over all of these, but the Sunken Yacht, that's a story that I had heard before, because the method in which they raise a ship by pumping it full of ping pong balls has actually been used to bring ships up to the surface. So I'd heard this story before, that it was from a comic, and of course later found out that it was a Carl Barks story. But I think that's really interesting note that story is in this volume if you want to read it. Donald is a sailor quite a bit in some of these stories.
Yeah, as you read through all these volumes, you'll see Donald have almost every job imaginable.
And then of course there's the one-page gags. I'm not the biggest fan of the one-page gags. I mean, Carl Barks, his work's still good. I mean, there's a Christmas one, and then there's some more toys, and actually there's more than one Christmas one. But the Too Fit was a pretty funny one-pager, though. Donald gets buff, and Daisy gets upset.
Yeah, I would say Carl Barks is the master of the 10-page story, and then Don Rosa, of course, is like the master of the 30-page story.
Yeah, those epics. It's a great volume. It is one of my favorites again. Volume 7, I think Volume 7 is just squeaking past Volume 6 as far as my favorites. I'm really, really getting to the point that I'm looking forward to those Scrooge stories that I know everybody, talks about. I can't wait to read Carl Barks' Scrooge Adventures, not just stories where Scrooge is creating the adventure for Donald to go on, but Scrooge is actually there. So I can't wait to get there. Is that it? Are we even close? You're up to Volume 10.
Yeah, there's a couple of Scrooge stories like sprinkled in between all of them. But I feel like not till the 1950s stories is when Scrooge started to appear more. You'll get there probably by Volume 11.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to get there. I am enjoying the Donald stories. I've always been a Donald fan. I just know that Barks' Scrooge stories are praised a lot online, so I'm looking forward to that. But we'll begin Volume 8, and we'll try to cover it in 2 weeks. Our schedule has just been off, so Beyond DuckTales has not been consistent, but we'll try to get it back under control. Hey, if I get this out before Saturday, don't forget about FanFest. Check out our blog at DuckTalks.com. We've had some new contributors join us. We're excited about the content we've been able to share with everyone. You can check us out on Twitter at DuckTalks, also on Tumblr at DuckTalks, trying to be a little more active over there. A lot of great art. I love seeing all of the fan art over on Tumblr. So you mostly just see us going through and putting hearts on things, but posting content too. And if you have a question or you'd like to say something about the show, anything at all, you can reach us at our email address, ducktalkspod@gmail.com. And let's see, we also have our individual Twitter handles. You can find me at Infinirama616.
And I'm at the Pirate Steven.
And you can find me at CCRunner524.
And I think that's going to do it for this week. Till next time.
Stay glom golden.
Woohoo.
As I hit the button.
Well, you didn't tell me. You're
I
gonna
know.
like it.
Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Oh, Lost in the Andes. I have read some of that one.
Oh, that's going in the bloopers.
Oh, we started.
If there's anybody else announced last minute who's going to be there, that people who follow us, dude, there's a gigantic wolf spider running under me right now. Hold on.
A wolf spider?
Okay, that's a blooper.
It's massive. Hold on.
If you let it bite you, you might have superpowers. Wow. That spider just moved the table. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, wolf spider. They're very hairy. They kind of like a miniature tarantula.
Did.
They bite.
We don't have those here.
So wolf spiders, they can bite. They just kind of irritate you. But we also have brown recluse.
Oh yeah, those ones are.
Yeah, those like kill you. Like they don't kill you, but they kill cells. So you end up with like a nasty, rotten section of flesh. And then we have a lot of black widows. Anyway,
let's leave that part in.
Right?
Rotten flesh.
It's going in the bloopers for sure. More work. All right. Well, that was a full hour.
So much for 30 minutes.